Hey guys, it's Kevin Rutze here from Boy Media. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic, which is the Facebook ads learning phase. And this is how Facebook thinks that you should be running your ads and campaigns. And we'll go over what it means, what Facebook thinks it means, how it can help you, and how we think about it here at Boy Media, and some tips and tricks that we use here to maybe get out of the learning phase or to potentially just always stay in it. Let's go dive right in. And really what we'll start is by just going over the Facebook documentation, which sort of explains the learning phase. The learning phase from Facebook Point is their AI uses this to optimize results. And of course, as any media buyer or advertiser, you want to optimize your results. Basically, when the learning phase is when Facebook is learning about your ads, what's working or not working, and also giving you results. Learning phase, and when you get out of it, when Facebook thinks your performance has stabilized. This is tricky. This is interesting because we have a lot of thoughts on this. This is what Facebook says. Exit the learning phase as soon as performance stabilizes. Typically, it's when you have about 50 conversions or events within a 7-day period. Thinking about it from there, getting 50 conversions in 7 days for a lot of brands is just not possible. One key thing here is you could potentially never exit the learning phase, and you'll always see what Facebook calls limited learning, which is basically saying you have not exited the learning phase. This thing that Facebook tells you about the learning phase, for us here, we don't really use it too much. At least we look at it and we observe it, but it really doesn't mean that much because any media buyer, any company out there doing some testing or high volume creatives, you never exit this learning phase because you're constantly testing creatives every single day and you're quickly killing campaigns within 2 to 3 days of not getting the results you're looking for. If you have a widget and you know that you're getting your CPA is about $20 and you put a new creative in, and this creative is now giving you, within the first day or two, giving you a $40 CPA, you're not going to let it run for the full 7 days and try to get 50 conversions because you're just going to lose money. This is why the learning phase is tricky because it's not right and it's not wrong. It's one of these things that Facebook tells you kind of have to do, but you can only do it if you have the budget to afford to lose money on all these tests that you're doing that you know are not going to get you 50 conversions at the price you're looking for. Let's dive in again, and that's really kind of our thought about the learning phase is you yourself as a media buyer, as the owner of the business, you know that within a day or two, you can tell if the ad's going to work. And the learning phase is more like an internal thing that I think Facebook should just be doing themselves and not really telling you about it. But anyways, Facebook says that once you get out of the learning phase, you see your CPA decrease by 20%. And you can also see that 17% more conversions, 15% lower CPA. We sometimes enter the learning phase and the CPA doesn't really go lower than that we've seen. It kind of stays the same where it initially was the first day or two, which is great. Facebook's probably happened for a few accounts, but most accounts or most people watching right now, you probably won't see this steady decline in CPA after you exit the learning phase. This is what also Facebook says about editing your ad set, about what changes or sort of gets you out of the learning phase. These are some of the changes that you need. Basically, for 7 days, Facebook says don't touch anything. And that means changing the budget, changing the bid amount if you're doing bidding, changing the bid strategy, ads, any change, of course, changing the ads themselves, changing the copy themselves, you're going to get affected by the learning phase. And anything else that you can do on the ad set, such as targeting, placement, optimization of it, obviously the bid strategy, bid amount, the budget, or pausing. Basically, Facebook says once you add in an ad, let them do their thing and wait 7 days. This is crazy because if you think about it, let's say you have a widget that's costs you $20 per conversion. That means that Facebook wants you to spend, let's say, a minimum of $1,000 to get 50 conversions. And that's assuming that you're going to get that perfect CPA every time. So most business owners are not going to spend $1,000 and hopefully get 50 conversions because you're probably going to load up an ad set or an ad or copy, and within the first day or two, you're not going to get any sales or results, and then you're going to kill the campaign. This is why the learning phase, I think it's a little bit tricky about Facebook kind of pushes it on us as advertisers, and all the reps kind of tell you you're not out of the learning phase, you're in the learning phase. But something that you'll notice for most experienced media buyers and most experienced brand owners is that you can have a great ad in your campaign that is getting you sales, but Facebook still says limited learning. Even though this ad has over 100 to 200 sales, you would still be in this limited learning phase. So for us and other people that we've talked to, we kind of don't know why an ad set that has over 50 conversions still says limited learning. And this is why it's so tricky to figure out how this algorithm works. To people listening and watching, use it as a guide, but it isn't the end all be all. You know yourself when an ad is working, when a campaign is working, because you have a feel for the metrics. You know what CPA should be right. Within a day or two, you know that you uploaded an ad in an ABO test and you know that the click-through rate just isn't where it is for your other ads, and you know that the results are just not going to pan out. that's how you should be thinking about the learning phase. Definitely take a look at it. Definitely understand that what Facebook means is you want to get at least 50 events within 7 days, and that's when it exits it. But again, we've exited and then within like a few days we're back in it. And even though we've never changed anything in that ad, and the ads are still giving us great results that we like. Hope that was helpful about the Facebook learning phase. Any questions or comments, feel free to comment on YouTube or message me on Twitter, and that's twitter.com/Danest, DANEST. Happy to answer any questions, and please make sure to like and subscribe to us. Thanks.